And this edition of The Hard Truth is even business relationships have to be more than just transactional. Even your business relationship is still a relationship.
Curious what business owners are doing to double revenue, have more cash flow, work less hours, and provide a better lifestyle for their family? Dive into the world of business growth that leads to guaranteed wealth. Your hosts, Dr. Laura Shwaluk and Jerry Kezhaya. Grow and get answers to your business and investment questions that provide clarity, move you forward, and inspire you to reach your goals. Welcome to this edition of the Business Builders Intensive. We have a celebrity guest with us today,
Woot, woot.
Kurt Luidhardt, and you may not know him, but you will by the end of this episode. We are thrilled to have you here. Kurt is an amazing connector of people, really a connection expert and relationship expert in what he does. But Kurt, you tell us how you got there and what it is that you're doing now. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, well, thank you. That's a very generous introduction to say celebrity. I would say I have had my work featured in a mocking way, both by Stephen Colbert and Rachel Maddow through the years, because my wife and I come from politics. For 20 years now, we have done digital marketing for Republican political campaigns and sort of right-of-center causes. We got started back in 2006, and we thought, man, we want to help in political campaigns. We should do something no one else is doing. And the internet seemed kind of new in the political world back in 2006. So we thought, let's just jump into that. We're going to change the world. We're going to get the right people elected. The sun's going to come out. The Red Sea's going to part. Everything's going to be wonderful. And after 20 years of doing that, it's been a wild time. Tons of great impact we've been able to make on the world. We've helped elect over 100 members of Congress, 15 U.S. senators, 15 governors, and we worked for Donald Trump back in 2016, helping. My wife actually relocated and worked as a senior vendor on the digital campaign for him for 4.5 months out of San Antonio, Texas, which isn't too far, I think, from where you guys are at.
Right.
And so that's what we've been doing primarily for 20 years. And recently we thought we really wanted to expand the kind of impact we're having. Politics is wonderful, but there's a lot of people out there changing the world, operating their businesses and innovating, creating jobs and the like. And we're just so passionate about those people after 20 years of running a business as a husband and wife team, not too unlike the two of you. And so we started working with businesses, and we work primarily with Christian and conservative business owners who really want to master the art of marketing to an audience we call liberty spenders, which are Christian and conservative consumers who want to buy from brands that match their values.
Fantastic. So tell me more about how that actually works. How do you get those people together?
Yeah. So I like to zoom out a little bit. One of the most interesting trends right now in consumer behavior nationwide, no matter where you come from, right, center, left, 82% of all American consumers want the brands that they do business with to match their values.
Yeah.
And 75% of American consumers have switched a brand in the last 12 months over some kind of values misalignment. So not a feature that they didn't like, not the fact that the cost went up or down or that their competitor was better, but because they felt like the business had values they didn't agree with. And so this is something that almost every American consumer now is considering as part of their decision-making matrix when they buy a product. And we can see it in some of the bigger brands we can kind of laugh about, like Bud Light made a deal with an influencer that didn't go over well with a conservative crowd and lost $27 billion of value in 30 days, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
isn't that crazy?
That's
And
amazing.
lost a whole segment of the consumer base. Then on the opposite side, consider Elon Musk, who's gotten really involved in politics, and he's been out there being very pro-Trump and very supportive of Trump. So it's absolutely switched his brand overnight. You used to go to the Midwest, no Teslas, right? But I would go to San Francisco, Teslas everywhere, right? Elon Musk gets involved in politics, the folks in San Francisco and California are selling their Teslas, and people in Indiana are buying them, right? His brand is now entirely associated with your political affiliation. If you ask who intends to buy a Tesla, Republicans have a favorable view, Democrats don't, and it's because consumer behavior is starting to reflect. People are looking at businesses and saying, I want them to reflect my values. And those were both political, but then there are companies like, say, Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby that aren't particularly political, but they're closed on Sundays, and they send a signal to a Christian consumer that they care about the Sabbath, that they think it's more important that people get a day of rest and they get an extra day to sell chicken sandwiches. In fact, I think Steve Green, who said something, and I thought this was really funny, the owners of Hobby Lobby, Chick-fil-A, they're both closed on Sunday. And the owner of Hobby Lobby, I heard him say that it's a lot braver for Chick-fil-A to be closed on Sunday than Hobby Lobby, because you don't buy Sunday's chicken sandwich on Monday.
Yeah.
But you can always delay your Hobby Lobby purchase. But consumers appreciate that, and you're sending a signal to those people that you and I were simpatico. We care about what you care about. And that's becoming so much more a part of a consumer's buying decision these days. So to answer your question, how do you this is something that consumers already kind of have their antennas out. So it's not really a question of, well, how do you communicate? Because they're already looking. It's just if people are looking to determine what your values are and what you stand for, why not raise your hand and just make it clear?
You know, it's really interesting because I saw some bumper stickers that recently in different cities that said things like, I bought this vehicle before Elon Musk went crazy.
Yeah,
Or
Yeah.
exactly.
I bought this vehicle and I can't afford to exchange it for a different one right now.
Yeah, be kind. I bought this. I can't afford to get rid of it. Right? Be kind.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's
Yes.
funny, right? And
It's funny.
somebody else saw one on the back of a Tesla Cybertruck. It says, I identify as a Toyota.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see those here in Indiana as well. And so people are recognizing these consumer choices are now part of our identity, right? And that's impacting how they're buying a product.
Yeah.
And so companies who figure that out, now Bud Light's kind of an interesting example. They'd have been better to stay as much more neutral as they could. They're a ubiquitous brand. Republicans, Democrats both drink Bud Light. But for a brand that's smaller and wants to build a niche, wants to differentiate themselves, this is an excellent way to do it.
Well, I'm gonna kind of throw a wrench in there a little bit because that also can be divisive. And in this day and age, it's not just a political divide. It's a very much there's a religious divide going on. And I would like to have you speak about this for a moment because it seems like we don't necessarily have to say what our political point is or our religious point is, but our moral point. And it may be even a step higher value to say what our moral point is. And then that way we can unite people and bring people together when we have the same moral values, like thou shalt not kill. That's a huge one because there's a lot of that going on right now. There's a lot of fighting that's been going on for not just hundreds of years, but thousands of years in certain parts of the world. And how do we address that? How do we address that, Kurt? Like what kind of
I want to go on record, and I want to say it's more than just a moral divide or divisive city. It's actually good versus evil. I mean, let's call it what it is out there. This is good versus evil. There's some evil people out there doing evil things, and you know we really need to take a good hard look at that these days, and people need to really take a stand. Where do you stand on this? Like thou shalt not kill is pretty freaking clear to me. And it's okay if you're this religion or if you're this ethnic group or no. There was no star in the Ten Commandments. There was no asterisk going, please read the footnotes, right?
Mm.
Well,
It-
even
it-
just even if it wasn't a commandment, even if it wasn't a commandment, because that can be a Christian associated as a Christian thing.
Hmm.
it's
Morally,
it's morally upright.
yeah.
It's morally upright to not kill somebody. And of course, what's stress? Right? Stress is the mind overriding the body's basic desire to choke the living crap out of some jerk who really needs it. Right?
Well,
So
that's an opinion.
no, that's stress because that son of a. But you can't do that today.
So, Kurt, what's your advice? What's your advice on this?
Well, I think there's where there's a practical question there, and there's also an existential one that you're
Mm.
getting at.
Mhm.
So on a practical level, I think that too many businesses out there want to be everything to everybody
Mhm.
as opposed to being something to somebody, right? So it's okay to not appeal to everyone in the population, and maybe even there's a few people it's okay to say you're not our person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So whether it's say Southwest Airlines, which says we have a very now they're changing their model, which could be a whole podcast episode, but Southwest Airlines, which says if you're the kind of person who's hoity-toity about having first class with big seats and drinks, you're not our kind of person, and that's okay, right? That's you go be with Delta, right? We're here to serve people who are looking for an inexpensive flight with no frills and who want to laugh and have fun. Which is a different type of consumer. So it's okay to be a little controversial. And I've never loved Southwest Airlines for that reason because I'm just not that type of person, and I
I like
probably
to
need to
know
lose
that
some weight.
I like to know that I'm sitting in 4B, okay, or 4C.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
The
want to race
cattle
somebody
call.
for a chair. Yeah, I don't
Yes,
need
the
it.
cattle call at the thing I'm not into. So I
Yeah, no.
think from a practical standpoint, I think it's okay to say, you know what, some people are not my people, and in that way, I'm okay being divisive. Now, on an existential level, which I think you're talking about, which is we have right now all sorts of societal ills that seem to be escalating, right? At the point we're recording this, we've had a couple of days when there have been some prominent violence, not just in the US, but in Australia
Mhm.
and other places. And you look at that and you say, man, our world's really fallen apart. And I we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I believe firmly in this. As a person of faith, I look at who I am as a human being differently than somebody who isn't. In my opinion, I think I have a tool that other people don't have. We have modern psychology to our aid. We are the society that's had the most therapy. 1 out of every 9 Americans is on antidepressants. 1 out of every 3 reports they're experiencing some level of depression and anxiety, right? And modern identity formation says, hey, if you want to know who you are as a human being, you need to look deep inside yourself and see what's there and see what maybe you care about, what's unique about you, maybe see a deep truth there. Maybe your parents really wanted you to be an opera singer, but you're really a construction worker, and that's what's holding you back. But we're going to look deep inside and decide what's unique. And it's a little bit of a mind trick. You convince yourself, hey, it does me better to think I'm supposed to be an opera singer, or that I can read these affirmations to myself every morning, and I'm going to trick my mind into being happy. And I think that's an ultimately difficult sinking sand upon which to build your identity as a human being. And I think as a Christian, one of the wonderful things that I have at my tool that I have is that my identity is bestowed on me by someone with authority. So God himself made me uniquely as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I was made with intention, I have value, and it's not something I find within myself, because if I look within myself, I see a lot of dark stuff. And Jerry referenced that. When I look inside myself, I see the times I want to scramble somebody's neck, like Jerry was talking about. And I see my selfishness. I see the lust that's there. I see all the different things that I know are ugly and ugly. but that's okay. It's the sin in my life because I was created by someone who cares about me, who ultimately gave me generated the ultimate sacrifice to save me. And so to get back to the existential question, there seems to be so much conflict. And I think the easiest way, many of us, myself included, by the way, when you're feeling kind of crappy about yourself and you're not leaning on who you are as a human being, you're not your best place, the best way to feel better is to trash other folks. Because I may not feel good right now, but at least I'm better than that Jerry guy. Because that Jerry guy owns a Tesla and Elon Musk is a communist or whatever, right? He's a fascist, and at least I'm not giving money to that guy. And so I'm going to key that guy's Tesla because he deserves it, and I feel certainty in that moment. I feel anger in that moment, and I feel good, right? And I feel our problem with all this conflict is because we're just not secure in who we are. And we're over there, everybody's supposed to do all this self-examination and, all this stuff. And we're not giving anybody anything but sinking sand,
It's very short term, very short term. Because
yeah,
I mean, you might feel more powerful or better in the moment, but what about the next day, and the next day, and the next day?
Yeah, it feels good though. I mean, there are times when you're upset and angry. I know this in myself. Sometimes I'm upset and angry, and I know I'm angry. I know I'm upset, and I know that's an icky emotion, but it feels good, and I don't want it to stop. I want to be angry because in that moment I feel certainty in a world that feels very uncertain. I feel, a certain amount of significance because I'm right, the other people are wrong, and it gives us that power. And so I think so much of what we're seeing is this problem being writ large in extreme instances where people, I think one of these people who committed these shootings was a father and a son who did it together.
Yes.
What kind of upbringing or belief system exists that a father would take his son on that crusade, So I'm hoping, I'm confident that a time will come when we'll all feel more certain and confirmation in who we are as God's creation. But until then, I think we're going to struggle with all this angry back and forth.
It seems to me, and I was talking about this with one of my friends just this morning even, and it seems to me that as humanity, as us as a planet, we've gone through infancy and towards maturity, and right now we're at a teenager stage, and teenagers react. They don't respond. They don't think first. They plan, the horrible things that they're going to do, and the capacity for abstract thinking, the capacity for existential thinking is rare. It's rare in the general public. And what you said, the hard truth is a relationship is a relationship.
Yep.
It's not about the transaction. It's about the relationship. So share with me, how did you come to this hard truth, and how can we apply that to our lives? That we even know that we're stuck in that?
Yeah. You introduced me earlier on as somebody who is a good connector. And I don't think I had that in my head as something I was good at until recently, because I developed this habit of creating relationships when I realized, if I'm going to sell anything at all to a political candidate, I'm going to have a good network of political consultants all over the country. And that's how these political campaigns tend to hire. Candidate decides to run, they find the local political expert. The local political expert starts hiring vendors like myself. And I realized, I got to have good relationships with these people. And I figured out quickly that I wasn't the only one who had this idea. And that a lot of people like me were out trying to meet consultants and make relationships. But so many of them were just sort of temporary, and they only made sense when they needed something, right? So if you're the guy who only calls when you need something, nobody wants to pick up the phone anymore. And I knew I needed to be the kind of person who was there even when they didn't have a client to send me, right? So that was when I learned the importance of kind of creating real relationships. But I also made the mistake a few times, which is along the same line here, of sort of getting too transactional and judging the value of a relationship based on my perception that this person could or could not generate future revenue for me. So I would say, oh, I met this person. They seem nice, but I don't think they're ever going to be anything. They're never going to have any real influence. I'm not going to put them on my priority list. And more often than not, I regretted that conclusion because you can't really understand or know the trajectory of somebody's life when you meet them, 10 years ago, and you make a snap judgment about them. And so the other lesson that was sort of related to this was one way I was being transactional is almost like putting a dollar figure on somebody's head, saying, well, Kurt's worth $5 and Laura's worth $500. I'm going to spend more time on Laura, and I made bad judgments when it came to that, and people pick up on it pretty quickly, right? And of course, in politics, you see it even in politicians. You can tell the politician who's listening to you when you talk to them, and the one who's trying to figure out how many hands they can shake before they can leave. They're two very different. And there are various ones. In fact, in 2024, that was one of the main criticisms that people had of Governor DeSantis in Florida, was that he just felt so transactional. He didn't really want to talk to you. He wasn't going to open up. And that's one area where Donald Trump is surprisingly good. Most people don't appreciate, is he's the kind of politician who remembers that it's your wife's birthday, or remembers your son's name, and calls you when you get hurt. And one of the interesting things, Trump lives in Florida, and DeSantis was governor of Florida. When DeSantis challenged him, almost the entire Republican congressional delegation endorsed Trump over DeSantis. And a couple of them gave him that as a reason, was that Trump called him just to wish him happy birthday or do something nice like that. DeSantis barely acknowledged him. So you learn that same thing in politics. And over time, as it got better, I realized I'm really enjoying all this connecting I'm doing. And now I just do it for fun. And two or three of the biggest deals I've done recently have come because I have a couple of clients that I help for free. I probably shouldn't say that here. But that just help that I'm doing for them has led to other relationships that have proven to be valuable.
I want to cut in just for a moment, and I want to just tell a story. That was my experience meeting Roger Staubach.
Tell me,
Supposedly
who is that?
He was at one time one of the greatest football players in the league. He's now a real estate tycoon, credible, supposed to be this really nice man, very gregarious and whatnot. And I stood in line to meet this guy. I was in one of the VIPs to meet him. And when I got there, I got a weak, limp handshake. And he didn't even look me in the eye. He was looking around the room as I was saying, "Hi, I'm such a fan. Nice to meet you." And the son of a gun didn't even acknowledge that I was there. And it's like, you know what? I don't care who you think you are, buddy. You went down like pretty far on my shoe at that point.
So, Kurt, before I
People
forget,
remember that stuff. That's what's interesting. People
Yes, this is 20 years ago.
yeah.
20 years ago. And it's like, yeah, I don't know what he's done. I don't really care. He's treated me like I was a piece of gum on his shoe.
Kurt,
And
before I forget, would you please let everyone know the best way to connect with you if they want to?
Yes. If you want to learn a little bit more about how we help businesses these days, you can hit us up at www.libertyspenders.com. And then I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you look up Kurt Luidhardt there, Luidhardt's got a funny spelling. It's Kurt. Luidhardt is Luidhardt. I would respond to messages there easily as well. And I'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. So I was thinking about how, as you were talking, how to apply this to
Yes.
our business and our customers. And I think one of the easiest ways is when we get a 1-star review or a 2-star review, because every business is going to screw up at some point in time. Every
Yeah.
business is. It's how do you respond? How do you, as a business owner, respond to that review?
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to get pissed off. You have the opportunity to ignore it. You have the opportunity to offer to make it right for in whatever it is, not necessarily just to make them happy, but to increase the value of the relationship. Can you
Right.
speak to that and maybe add a couple of more examples?
Well, I do think um, it's interesting because as a service business, as a marketing agency, I didn't really pay much attention to Google reviews for the longest time. And then I bought a restaurant. And then you start paying attention to that.
Oh boy, that's an eye
And
opener, isn't it?
yes, it absolutely is. And I do think there's an opportunity to show grace in that, right? And in a funny way, my political career prepared me for dealing with these hostile reviews because you learn over time in politics that sometimes the best way to diffuse this is to treat people kindly and not to pour more gas onto the fire. But it's also a way to communicate who you are as a human being and what you care about. I would think in a service business like that where people are giving reviews and where those matter, that reviews are an excellent place to demonstrate your values and who you are as a human being, because it's a moment, like you said, when people give you negative reviews, it feels a little, I know for me, I'm not the one there serving the burgers, but even I feel the gut punch.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different ways that companies show who they are that really resonate with people. So I mentioned Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A being closed on Sunday. That sends a really clear message. It's also, by the way, a great blessing to their employees.
Yeah.
And when I had one of the owners of Hobby Lobby on my show, he said that's often one of the reasons that their employees say they stay. Because typical retail employees at a retail place, like a general manager, would be working 7 days a week. And so having a mandated seventh day off is a big gift to those managers. But other companies do things simply, like Black Rifle Coffee is a great successful example of a company that knows really well how to market to Liberty spenders. And they're very pro-veteran. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they were founded by two veterans, and they support veterans charities. They hire veterans, and this is something that a lot of people, right, left, or center, support. We all want to see our veterans do well, but by supporting their charities, by hiring veterans, they communicated their values. There's another coffee company I love to share, and I'll leave their website. ihaveabean.com. They're based in Wheaton, Illinois. And the owner of I Have a Bean, Pete, tried to hire his brother-in-law, some relatively close relative who had just gotten out of prison, and he couldn't do it. His HR attorney wouldn't let him do it, and he thought, if it's hard for me to hire a relative who I know and trust, who's come out of prison, it's got to be really hard for people coming out who don't have somebody like me who can support him. And so now that's all he does. He only hires people who are coming out of prison. And he says it's such a transformational thing for them because these people coming out of prison, particularly ones that are in for felonies or something really tough, feel like they're the bottom 1% of society. And he really emphasizes that I Have a Bean makes the top 1% of coffee in the world. They select only the best beans. They roast them only in a very special way. And these post-prison individuals, each bag is signed by them individually when they make it. And he says it's amazing the transformation in their lives when they go from feeling like they're in the bottom 1% to being proud of that top 1% coffee they're making. And if you want to have a really good ugly cry, you can go to ihaveabean.com. And I think if you go to the bottom, it's in the drop-down menu. They have a video about these employees. And I've watched it a couple times. I can't make it all the way through. It's such an emotionally appealing. So there's lots of different ways to kind of build your values into how you run your company and then communicate that to consumers. I Have a Bean actually only tells people after they taste the coffee, oh, by the way, here's our mission. And their retention rate, according to Pete, is through the roof because people buy the coffee. They love the coffee. I have some in my right now upstairs. But they stay because they know he's changing people's lives.
Yeah, that's an example of mature thinking. I'm going to say my opinion is mature thinking. That's
Yeah.
a moral way to really up level everyone. Because even Jesus, I mean, he hung out with the drunkards, the whores, the lepers, and
Yes.
raised everyone. A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
So
Yes.
awesome. I love it.
Yes. Pete's I Have a Bean is one of my favorite stories. And I hope he continues to grow. He's such a coffee snob. His passion is that he makes the coffee one day and you get it the next day.
Mm.
And so he kind of limits how far he'll ship, because you can't. And so he's been talking about adding new locations so he can make that same promise no matter where you live.
Awesome. Kurt, would you give your contact information one more time just to make sure?
Yes. Yes, I would love it. People should find us at www.libertyspenders.com. Also, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm at Kurt Luidhardt. And I'll give out our company line if you want to call me there. It's 317-886-4438.
One more time.
317-886-4438.
Excellent. Thank you. So at the end of every episode, just so you know, Kurt, at the end of every episode, I ask our audience a question. And the purpose of the question is to not just have them think, but that is the big part of it because what you think about is what you bring about. It's to have them think, but it's also to have them take action. And here my question today, and I might have to say it a couple times to really hone in with clarity on what the true question is, but is your company demonstrating your values? Is your company demonstrating your values? Do your employees demonstrate your values? Do you demonstrate your values? If your customers were asked what your values are, would they know what they are? And if not, it might be a really good thing to reach out to Kurt because I bet he could help you with that. And also to really not just to increase the transaction, but to increase the relationship because that's what people want. I believe people want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to know who they are buying from, and they want to know what you stand for. Jerry and I truly stand for male entrepreneurs, not just earning money, not just creating money. Male entrepreneurs being leaders to create money, just not just for them, their families, but for every employee that works with them. And that they're investing and their legacy trickles down into everything that they stand for, their values, into every part of the world. And it starts with you. It starts with you, our listener. We appreciate you for listening. Kurt, we really appreciate this conversation with you. Absolutely have enjoyed having you on the show. And I want to kind of open it up. Is there any other topic that you want to bring up or thing you want to say before we end this episode? Same thing with you, Jerry. If there's anything else you'd like to add?
Yes.
Well,
first.
Jerry and Laura, I'll pop in first, and then I'll let Jerry end it with a bang here. But I've gotten to know you guys over the last few weeks, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And I know that there's probably some people listening right now who are thinking, I've got some problems with my business, or I need somebody in my life who will tell me the truth that I don't want to hear. I think you guys provide that value to some people that it's just hard to replicate or replace. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I encourage people who are listening to reach out to you guys as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And you can reach
So-
us at BBMMUSA.com. That's B like business, B like builders, MM, mastermind, USA.com.
And Kurt has an event coming up, if you're in the Phoenix area, coming up this week. He's doing a meet and greet. Reach out to him. Please reach out to him. Help him make sure he has an amazing event on Wednesday night. We'll get this published as quickly as we can so that it will have some more reach for you. Perhaps you'll get some of our Phoenix people to reach out and join you. I think that would be great. I know that for years, I tried real hard to be everything to everyone. In the auto repair business, I want to take care of my conservative friends, and I want to take care of my liberal friends, and I want to take care of, I just want to fix cars. At the end of the day, look, you got a bad car, you got a broken car, you got a car that needs maintenance or repairs. Hell, bring it in. We'll be happy to take care of it, and we'll do it as quickly and as efficiently and economically as we can. And as I've gotten older, you know what? The truth of it is, I can't be all things to all people, and I have to be what's true to me. And I have my moral standings, I have my beliefs, I have my political viewpoints. All of that helps make me the guy that you see and hear in this show. It helps me be the husband that my wife can respect and still love.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, you got to be true to you. At the end of the day, who you are freaking matters. Show up authentically. Show up fully. Play the game you're given. And if you can't play that game well, get the hell out of it and create a new game for you. But show up, because the truth of it is, the world needs you. And the world needs you at your best. And damn it, you can't be your best if you're trying to be something you're not. And that's my words of wisdom for this episode. And thanks for being here. Kurt, you're a rock star. We appreciate the hell out of you. I hope you come back on our hell, if nothing else, let's call on next week. I want to hear how your Phoenix event went. And we'll touch base and catch up. And next time, maybe we'll get your wife on the show with you.
And
we'll have another one in Dallas, probably in March, and one in Nashville in February. So if you miss Phoenix, if you live in the Dallas area or Nashville, we'll get you guys the details on that too.
Yes, definitely. We're certainly in for Dallas, and depending on when the Nashville. I like going to Nashville. There's some good restaurants out there. And nice people. So we could pop in and maybe shake up your meeting for you.
Probably shake up for sure.
I'm going to finish this episode with a one-liner, and the one-liner is this: be the person that you can respect. Be the person you can respect.
Nice.
And if you would like help with that, reach out to me. I'm Dr. Laura Shwaluk or Jerry Kezhaya, BBMMUSA.com. You can put my first name, Laura, in front of that, Laura at BBMMUSA.com, and send me an email. And we'd love to help you. To have a relationship and help you be your best. Thank you again, Kurt. We really appreciate you. Huge respect for you.
Yep. All right, everybody. See you next time.
Grow and get answers to your business and investment questions that provide clarity, move you forward, and inspire you to reach your goals. Share the show and connect with us at BBMMUSA.com to submit questions and learn more. That's BBMMUSA.com.